have been using the month-long break from college to indulge in some research into psychedelic chemicals that are new to me. The month started with a whimsical and colorful 4-HOMET trip, followed by a WAY82CE trip and an underwhelming and muddled 4-ACO DMT experience. In between all these experiences I have used ketamine regularly, K-holing for the first time very near the onset of the month. This month has been a bender of sorts, getting my neurochemical research out of the way so that it doesn't interrupt my schoolwork on my return to college in the coming months. The latest, greatest, and final chemical to enter my field of research for the month is 4-HOMET, aka miprocin. Its arrival in the mail a week ago was quickly followed by an initial 15 mg experience which I described in my notes as being very similar in character to 4-HOMET, with a much clearer headspace and more of a body load than 4-HOMET, rooted in the shoulders and neck, made me feel like a bodybuilder after a session at the bench press. Similar to 4-HOMET, the come up was fast, with the first effects noticed within 20 minutes. OEVs were unique, not as colorful or intrusive as 4-HOMET but more regular, coating every surface in a pattern reminiscent of church stained glass windows. SEVs were also similar to 4-HOMET in their colorful, slowly moving nature, but were significantly more detailed and cartoony in style, making for a whimsical closed-eye experience. The experience was lucid enough for me to hold a conversation with my little brother throughout without him knowing I was intoxicated, a unique trait in a psychedelic for me. The peak began about an hour after dosing and lasted 2 hours, followed by a relatively long and gradual come down. Overall, my first experience with miprocin was promising, short, and easy. I felt the dose needed to be increased to get a full experience with this chemical. My chance to get a second experience had to happen soon after the first as I go back to school soon, so I decided to trip during my family's New Year's trip to the Oregon coast. This time of year the Oregon coast is wet and cold, so I'd have plenty of time to sit by the fire and explore miprocin further. This would be my last experience for the break, so I planned to include ketamine at the tail end of the peak, as I had yet to combine a disso with a psych but was anxious to do so. My family, just parents and brother, and the family friends they brought along were in the living room, and having been cooped up inside all day due to the weather were all a little tipsy. I figured I would hang out around them as I came up, and if things got too intense and I risked giving myself away I could retire to my room with the excuse of a stomachache. With a good set and an interesting setting, I grabbed my toiletry case and went to the bathroom at 7:50 p.m. D+0. I lock the door and turn on the faucet to mask any sound I might make. I use my portable jewelry scale to weigh out 30 mg of the light and fluffy miprocin powder. I dump the powder in a small glass of orange juice to mask the terribly chemically taste. Last time I dumped the dose straight onto my tongue and regretted it. The powder seemed to dissolve well with little stirring and I downed the solution. The orange juice masks the taste well and there is no residue left over in the cup. I head to the living room, sit near the fireplace with my family, and wait. D+15 minutes. The onset of effects is noticeable in the body first. A nausea that I didn't get last time accompanies the same neck and shoulders body load as my first experience. No mental effects yet, I am conversing with everyone just fine, maybe even easier than before. Everyone is tipsier than I originally thought they were, so I'm confident they probably won't notice my intoxication. D+20 minutes. There is a hint of the stained glass OEVs and vague yet colorful SEVs have begun. Colors are enhanced already and the lights look quite bright. I am listening to music and it is already incredibly enhanced. The low notes are wonderfully deep and the bass feels absolutely physical through my headphones. The body load and nausea are both ramping up, but they are still manageable. No mental effects, I feel completely clear-headed. D+30 minutes. Nausea has subsided thankfully, but it is now clear that this trip will be significantly stronger than my last experience. The stained glass visuals are static but detailed and well-defined. The floor looks like sets of Apollonian gasket fractals, circles within circles within circles. The room is transformed into an impossibly decadent house of worship. Somehow my head remains clear and I can hold conversations with my family much easier than when sober. There have been a few moments of anxiety which have always passed within a minute or so. This is going very well. D+1 hour and 20 minutes. The rain let up and my parents decided to walk to the beach with my brother and the dog about 40 minutes ago. I joined them. The walk there is filled with banter between me and my father, and I lose track of how hard I am tripping until we make it to the beach. As soon as we get onto the sand we are hit by a powerful wind, and I realize the magnitude of the experience I am having. The patterns on the sand are impossibly detailed, they are stunning. Looking down at the beach under my feet I can see that every grain of sand is meticulously arranged in natural-looking patterns, like the inside of a fractal anthill. Impossible paths the size of hairs look meticulously maintained, and lead arterially to other larger and larger paths that snake across the beach like the sandworms of Dune. Looking up from my feet towards the ocean, I am overwhelmed by its sheer power. The water is rough, and each white wave front looks like the event horizon of a black hole sweeping out to swallow the shore. I put my headphones on to avoid conversation, and we start walking home. This is the start of the peak. I decide to come back and experience the beach further when my family goes to bed. D+2 hours. The peak is going spectacularly. My parents ran to the store for ibuprofen. I requested they get a bag of Chex Mix, so I am left alone with my brother. I lay on the couch and listen to music with my eyes closed and explore the cartoon world on the inside of my eyes. The sevs are not as clear as they could be but are stylized in a manner reminiscent of the fluid rubber hose animation of the 20s. The music is slightly euphoric, and just plain sounds incredible. My head is slightly less clear than before, but clear enough to have a coherent conversation with my brother. I crave the ocean. I need to go back and feel the daunting power again. I will go as soon as my parents are asleep. D+2.5 hours. I got my Chex Mix. It's hard to eat because of a previously unnoticed dryness of the mouth that now seems quite abrasive. My parents are in their room now and I am ready to go back to the ocean. I think I will bring a bump of ketamine to the beach and do it while feeling the power of the ocean once more. This idea seems right to me. D+2 hours and 50 minutes. I went to the kitchen and cut a small section off of a drinking straw. I then weigh out 50 milligrams of ketamine in the bathroom and put it in a tiny Ziploc bag along with the straw. Heading to the beach. D+3 hours and 40 minutes. I am back from the beach now, feeling amazing. The walk there was stressful. The town is filled with bars and loud tourists. It is gritty, gratuitous. The way too bright seashell and starfish Christmas lights hanging from every street light don't help either. When I make it to the beach though, all is worth it. The sand patterns are even more vivid than I recalled, but the focus is the water. The wind is stronger and the tide is low, so I start the long walk down to the water's edge, to the event horizon. I am struck by the pure planetary might of the place we all live. I feel euphorically small, wonderfully vulnerable. I feel the wind or the water could sweep me away any moment if I let it. I am not afraid. I kneel down near the edge of the water and struggle to snort the ketamine from the baggie using the straw. I have to shield the baggie from the wind with my body, turning my back on the mighty sea, daring it to sweep me away. It doesn't. I may be developing a problem with ketamine. Dissociation feels too good and I could see myself forming a habit. The universe warns me of this danger as I desperately try not to waste any K, putting my nose in the baggie and willing the residue caught to the edges of the bag into my nose, by shuffle playing an extremely sad song from the 8th grade soundtrack through my headphones. I take the universe's point, but can't help laughing at its methodology. Once I am finished, I stand up and head for the town, not looking back. I can still feel the sea behind me. Its violent power is more comforting than ever. The ketamine starts to hit me before I am off the sand. I start to feel far from my body and the waves slightly but noticeably intensify. I hurry home past the bars and tourists, still filled with the euphoria of the ocean. I am home now, and the dissociation feels good but has stopped progressing. The intensity is higher than ever and head is no longer perfectly clear, replaced by the dissociative headspace of K. Sevs have intensified too, but only a little. I think I need more ketamine to get to where I want to be. D+30 hours and 50 minutes. I went to the bathroom and weighed out 70 milligrams more of K on my scale and dumped it onto my phone case. The pile of powder looks huge, so much so that I pour it back into the scale to make sure I did not measure wrong. Once I am assured it is only 70 milligrams, I make a line with my knife and snort with the straw. I close one eye to snort, and as I begin I become very small. The line of ketamine is a mountain range that towers above me as it enters my nostril. I have never seen anything like it before. I hurriedly pack up my scale and K in my toiletry case and head to the couch to lay down. D+5 hours. For the last hour I lay on the couch with my eyes closed and listened to music, mostly classical. At the same time, I became a set of slowly morphing, vividly colorful, abstract structures dictated by the rubber hose style of the MiPT. The only thing I can compare it to is a salvia trip in which you abstractly become your surroundings, but unlike salvia there was no fear, and I was conscious and present throughout. My ego remained untouched and I remember the experience vividly. The most strange part to me was that whenever I chose I could open my eyes and become my physical self again. But when I closed my eyes and chose to melt into the structures once more it was just as engaging as salvia or a K-hole. I could choose how to exist, or I could exist as both at once. I am once more my physical self now, and the sevs are still vivid, but not encapsulating as they were a few moments ago. Truly a remarkable experience. D plus 7 hours. The ketamine wore off not long after my last entry, and I have been working through the long come down of miprocin. I meditated for a time a few minutes ago, and found it more difficult than during any other chemical experience I've had so far. My clean headspace has been gone ever since the K wore off. I feel muddled, ready for sleep. I will try to get sleep soon. D plus 9 hours. No sleep yet. The sevs are faint but still present and distracting, as is the body high. The nausea has returned too for some reason. I was able to sleep at around 6 a.m., around T plus 10 hours, and the day after I feel refreshed as I usually do the day after ketamine, but slightly more muddled than usual, which could be attributed to the small amount of sleep I got. This was a momentous experience for me. I got all I was looking for from the trip and more. The clear headspace and pleasant visual character of miprocin is great as a casual chemical, but clearly at higher doses or combined with other substances it can be formidable. This is definitely my favorite substituted tryptamine so far.